Hello and welcome back to the Overdue Sports Show, episode 13 of the Overdue Sports Show. I'm Jake Sawinski, accompanied as always by Will Massa. A little bit late, but how we doing, Will? A little busy of a
Not
week.
too bad. Yeah, a little bit slammed this week, but just in time to preview the Final Four. So I guess we're on time.
Well, yeah, we've got 8
Got about
hours to spare,
yeah.
7.5, 8 hours to spare. But we'll try to keep the game previews a little quicker. We'll keep that on the front of the show. That way, if you want to listen to us kind of poo-poo the tournament after the fact, you can just turn that off or listen. We'd prefer you to listen, but one thing at a time, right? So we have our final four set. The games are this evening, and SEC matchup, Florida and Auburn. And then I think the game a lot of people are looking forward to. Both of these games are really good. Houston and Duke. Those are our four. Let's start with Florida Auburn. How do you see this one going?
I think it's going to be all Gators. And I feel like every time that we have talked about Florida so far in this tournament and kind of their path to the championship, we've talked about how they just haven't looked that good yet. And they still haven't looked that good yet. They're coming off of a 5-point win against Texas Tech, who's a very good team. They beat they beat Maryland up the round before that. UConn almost got them in the second round, and then they beat the brakes off of Norfolk State. But I feel like they just haven't looked as dominant as what I would have expected with that path. Um, and Auburn has also played a really good path. Like as far as who teams have played, these actually probably had the two hardest paths. You had Auburn, who took on Michigan State last round. They took on Michigan the round before that, who was arguably like the hottest team in college basketball. And then they had Creighton, who is no pushover, who they handled pretty well. But Florida's laying 2.5 here. I'm going to lay the 2.5. I really like the Gators here. It just, I mean, I think you said it pre-show. You said that the two most the two most picked teams to win the tournament were Florida and Duke. I imagine that one of them gets into it. And so I'm going to go with Florida. Not to give away what we're going to do next, but
Yeah. Well, I want to amend your one statement. You said Florida hasn't looked that good. I wouldn't go as far as saying that. I think like you have a good point there. You're on something. I would just say more so that they haven't played like a complete game in the tournament, right? Because like if you go round by round at Florida, it's hard to say anything negative about the 16-1 game, against Norfolk State, but they were up 30-ish at halftime and they won by 30-ish. Like they kind of just coasted in the second half. It's really hard to blame them there. Like there's really no reason to go, let's go in by 50. Like there's no incentive to do that anyways. Um, who'd they play in the second round?
Florida
UConn.
played UConn. Yes,
Yeah,
and UConn almost got them.
UConn. Yes, they did not look. They looked very frazzled by the physicality UConn brought, which is very surprising because Florida is like the biggest team in the country, right? They just out hustled, right? They're more talented. They just UConn played the way that any less talented team has to play, and they played well. Maryland, they had a slow start, but handled business in the second half. Second half, Florida pulled away. And then Texas Tech outplayed them for 39 minutes, 38 minutes, and lost somehow, which is wild, right? Like, I bet Texas Tech +7 that hit almost didn't. Like, if one extra foul happened, like that doesn't happen. But if you're up 10 ish, 8 ish, whatever it was, with 2 minutes left, you're as not well, maybe even as a player, you're like, oh, we got this. Like, all we have to do is not mess up. It is like improbable how Florida won that game. So I agree with you. I think Florida is going to be the team to go to the championship game. You see it a little differently. Like you mentioned, the two heavy favorites to win the pool. You think one of them is going to not win. I think both of them are not going to win. That's just
Well,
my opinion on
I
it.
meant I meant get to the championship game. Like I think
Yeah,
one will be
yeah.
in the championship game. I don't know that
Right.
either of
Yeah,
those
I
two are going to
agree with
win.
you. I agree with you with Florida getting there, right? But I just worry about that because it's like Florida was so improbable winning that last game. They had no business winning that game against Texas Tech, and they did. So it's like, is that going to come back to bite them? I don't know. But I'm going to lay the 2.5 of Florida as well. Um, Auburn's kind of been in a similar situation in the last couple of games, right? Like they also have not looked. They have also not played a complete game. Like the only team it really has is Duke, right? But kind of didn't. They left a lot to be desired against Alabama State. Creighton was winning half the game. Um, Auburn really throttled Michigan in the second half. Like it got away from them. Michigan got away from Michigan bad. And then who did Auburn play in the Elite Eight? Michigan State. That was their
Yep.
fourth game. Yeah, that game was Auburn for the most of it, but like not dominant Auburn. Janai Broom being on the court is huge for that team too, because as soon as he left that game against Michigan State for the 5-10 minutes there, I think they hit like 2 shots from the field. But Michigan State like had every opportunity and then some to like chew into that 9-point lead. They just didn't. So, I mean, that was kind of the narrative on Michigan State all year, right? It was kind of like, oh, this is one of Tom Izzo's like best coaching jobs. This team isn't like talented, really. Like that was the thought going in, right? Like not that they weren't talented, but like, oh, Michigan State, this isn't going to be one of their better teams. It's just a testament to how good of a coach he is, right? Because like I don't think anybody saw Michigan State being this good. No one thought they'd be bad, but no one thought they'd, be the regular season Big Ten champ. So I like Florida here too. I think the line's very indicative of how this game's going to be. Like I feel like in the next game we're going to talk about, this one could go farther away from that 5 number. I think this one's going to be tight all the way through. That's just me though. I hope it is. It stinks when like you have these kind of teams in the Final Four. The last couple of years we haven't had 4-1 seeds or even like 2 or 3 seed. We've always had like an 11 seed playing a 2 or an 8 seed playing a 1, something like that. And one of the games stink and then the other game's really good. So hopefully we do get 2 really good games this year. Because like NC State, I mean, how bad did they lose to Purdue? That one was ugly, right?
Yeah.
As an 11 seed playing Purdue, who I think Purdue was a 1 or 2 last year. So it's like, I just hope they're good watches. But if you have nothing else in that game, Houston
That's all I
and
got
Duke.
for that one.
Houston and Duke. Houston +5. What are you thinking here?
Cougs. It's right under your name. This is a team that you and I talked about in the very first March Madness preview we did. This whole year is just, to me, has felt like the Houston year, which sounds silly to say because it seems like almost every year it feels like it's the Houston year. But this team is just a little bit different than what they've conventionally been in the past. And being in the Big 12 certainly helps that because they've had to play better competition throughout the season. So I think they were more ready for the tournament when it actually came. This team is really good. They score and they still play that suffocating defense. I hope this game is as advertised because I genuinely think, like, for all intents and purposes, that this is the national championship game. Like, I think this might be the best game we see in the entire tournament, which is a shame that it's the Final Four and not the national championship. But I really like Kelvin Sampson and Houston to get it done here. They played a pretty tough road to get there. They played Purdue.
They did.
They played Gonzaga. They played Tennessee. All those games were fairly tight except for the Tennessee game. They won by 19. But other than that, like they've looked really, really good. So I know Duke is just an absolute wagon, but we've also talked about it. They didn't have the toughest path to get here. They played Alabama last round, who I know is a 2 seed, but what do I always say about Alabama? That style only works for 3 games. It worked for 3 games for them. It actually usually only works for 2, but
yeah, they got an extra one.
Yeah, they did get an extra one this year, but only scoring 65 points. It was just bound to happen eventually. Arizona dressed up that game a little bit. but 193 in the Sweet 16 round.
Mm-hmm.
They played Baylor, who we talked about, like we thought they were going to be good, but they just really weren't that good. And then you got Mount St. Mary's in the first round, which whatever. But they just have not been as tested through this. And I guess there is a good thing to that, because you can say, oh, well, they're probably a little bit more well rested because they just haven't had to exert, in a really emotional game, bring out a really emotional win. But I really like Houston here.
Yeah, I do too. I agree with just about everything you said there. I think the battle tested, or like the tough road, that argument is a little bit nuanced, right? Because like every team's had like a tough road, but like on paper, I feel like Duke should have had a tough road. I mean, that region they were in was pretty good for the most part. Like even Houston's region too. Like that side of the bracket was pretty loaded, but it's like Duke had those matchups that you thought would be really, really compelling matchups, and they kind of just dominated them. You know what I mean? Like you said, Baylor didn't really put up a fight. Arizona was a little bit of dressing up, and even that Alabama game, it's like they couldn't hit a shot. It's like, oh, okay. Let's just say this: if you bet Alabama +7 against Duke, you're high. Like, what were you thinking? Like, they just shot 50% from three, and you're like, oh, seven's too many. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, that is the most obvious play on the board. Yeah, Alabama +7. Crazy. But that's besides the point. Um, Duke plays defense too. Like that 93 they allowed against Arizona. That's just Arizona hitting shots, right? Like every team's got one of those. You don't think of Duke as playing defense, but like they attempt to, and that I think that is a big difference. Like you'll see guys give up offensive rebounds, and then okay, there's 2 points, right? So out of position. They don't do that. Like they play very good team defense for the most part, and Houston does too. I think that is going to be like the real big difference. Is Houston makes a very, very, very intentional effort to do that stuff. They're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. They have been for the last 5, 6 seasons. That is one of the ways they make up for their typical inability to score at will. Is they get so many extra chances, and that's going to be a big deciding factor of this game. I think 5's too many points. I think Houston, like we talked about multiple times, I think they're a little overlooked just because it's like, oh, it's the same thing with Houston every year. They're really good until the Final Four or the Elite Eight, whenever it is. I think this team's a little different. I like Houston too. And like they've played close games. Like they haven't looked dominant in most of the games they played, right? Like each game, like they'd be out to an early lead. It would get super close. But you eking out those close wins, I think, is really good for, keeping your emotions in check throughout the whole game. And they've done it twice. Like Purdue almost got them. Gonzaga almost got them. Who'd they play in the first round? That didn't matter. Oh, SIUE, that didn't matter there. And Tennessee. That Tennessee game was a very convincing win because it was never Tennessee ever. Like from the jump. I mean, they were up, like 15-2 immediately. I was like, that wasn't even a game. So they're a 1 seed, but I feel like that is, yes, the most overlooked 1 seed just because of that old narrative of, hey, this team can't score. And you might not see a ton of scoring either because, like I said, Duke plays some solid team defense. They get out in transition. They do all that stuff. But I think this game's going to bang too. So I like Houston. I wouldn't fault you for liking Duke. Someone's got to lose, though. And I wagered on Duke losing. So, do you want to try a little hypothetical here before we get into the kind of just talking about the tournament as a whole?
Give me it.
All right. If we're right, who wins the championship? If it's Florida and Houston, who wins the
Houston.
championship? You think it's Houston?
If Houston gets through Duke, like I think that's it. I would think, anyways. Houston might be a dog in that game too.
Oh, they would be. It would. I bet you'd be like Houston. If it's more than Houston +3, I would say it's Florida. But if it's inside of 3, I would be inclined to think it would be Houston if they win. If we're correct there. Did Auburn and Houston play this year? I think they did.
Did they?
Yeah, I thought they did.
Let's take a look.
I think Houston won.
Auburn won.
Auburn won?
Auburn won
Okay.
74-69 in the
Okay.
Mattress Firm Battleground.
Okay, so neutral site. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Auburn and Houston,
Give me Houston.
yeah, I'd need to expect a line like that as well. About the same, right? Because you already had Auburn winning by 5 on a neutral site. It's a neutral site again. So yeah, I'd say if it's more than like 3 or 4, I'd go with the favorite. If it's inside of that, I'd probably go with the dog. Kind of the same logic there. Florida Duke.
Duke.
See, I'd be inclined to take Florida.
I don't know. That one's a really tough one actually, because I would say Duke just because like if they beat Houston, I think that's a better win than Florida beating Auburn. I feel like they're just going to carry that. But I could definitely, depending on that line, I've loved Florida this year. Like, if you asked me to pick a 1 seed, like outside of Houston that we've been talking about, I would have picked Florida over Duke. That might be a little bit tougher one. That might be the toughest one for me to pick if that ends up being the matchup.
Yeah, I would agree. But it's just like Florida has all of the physical.
Yeah, they do.
The physical things you're looking for, like size and rebounding and things like that. Walter Clayton Jr.'s clutch shot making, but like you get Cooper Flag on the other end, and Kneepel, however you say his name, he's gonna be like the Christian Laettner of this tournament, right? He's gonna be the guy to have the moment. Like he's just got that edge. It seems like, I don't know. And then Auburn Duke. You're still thinking Duke, yeah. I'm kind of with you. I think the championship is going to come from game 2. Like whoever wins game 2 is going to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm very biased though. I have Houston in my bracket. Bet Houston to win the tournament 2 rounds ago, plus 450. I've been very high on them when we're doing these videos. It's just like, oh, this team's like much better. It's a different team. It's one of Kelvin Sampson's best teams. It is his best team. Look where we are. Yeah, it's hard for me to like be very objective about it because I'm very vested in Houston. But I don't know. It's just something's telling me. I don't know. Usually that voice doesn't listen, but I don't know. My blood's red. More ways than one this this weekend. So I like them. I don't know, but overall, how was your tournament experience? Not betting, just kind of watching. Because like the betting, for me, I've noticed this the last couple of years. I usually bet the round of 64 very, very well. I think you and I doing these videos really helps just because it's like, hey, it's a way to look at all of these games. And it's not even like we're prepping it, right? It's just I'm talking about it with another human being who a lot of times with betting, I don't always agree upon. Like we're getting closer, right? Like I think you've taught me to like, hey, don't be so gross and grimy and yucky about picking things. But then you're like, hey, I can't just do the easy thing. Like I have to think about it another. You know what I mean? So it's like the culmination of minds there helps. And the round of 64, I'm usually pretty good at. Like doing my bracket this year, I hit every 5 seed and 12 seed. Like I did that perfect. I got everyone 2 5s, 2 12s. All was right in the world. I got them. I missed all my 6 and 11s. And then it's like the ones I missed, I compounded the error, right? It's like, and I know this is what you're going to talk about, but like me doing my bracket, it's like, okay, I like a 12 seed to make it to the Sweet 16. I like this 13 seed to make it to the Sweet 16. That didn't happen. So like the round of 32 and Sweet 16, I struggled in because it's like, okay, I think one of these teams are going to be upset. They just weren't. So I think that's kind of what it boils down to. This year was chalky. It was chalk.
Yeah. And it's hard for me to say that makes the tournament inherently bad. I know a lot of people like to point to that. The problem is that when we do that, this is going to be the exact same conversation we had with the college football playoff. It's like, do you want the best teams at the end, or do you want it to be a UC San Diego and then have them lose by 50 in the Final Four? You know what I mean? Or like what we saw with NC State last year.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to earlier. If that wasn't clear, it was like, oh, we
Yeah.
always had one stinky game, one good game. That's exactly what I meant. Because like the year before, it was Miami and UConn, or who did San Diego State play in that Final Four? Do you remember? Was that
Oh,
they
didn't play.
I
No,
want to say no. Purdue lost. It was
they won
San
by a lot.
Diego's. Yeah, but I don't think they had the. It doesn't matter. I don't recall, but like you get what I'm saying. It doesn't. It's not what is. That's not what's important. But you understand what I'm saying. It's like when you have that lower seeded team make it. It seems like oh, it was FAU.
Yes.
Like that was a little different because those were both lower seeded teams. It was a 9 and a 5, and then a 1 and a 5. Because I think Miami was a 5 seed as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like that UConn Miami game stunk. But on paper, that shouldn't have. And then FAU and SDSU, that was like two lower seeded teams, so it was a little more level. So maybe that's not the perfect example, but like the NC State Purdue game last year was stinky, stinky bad. You know, it's just like a Cinderella. The clock struck midnight. It was like it's enough. You know, so you don't have that this year. To your point, like that's what you should want, right? It's like, hey, these round of 32 games this year, these Sweet 16 games, they were all really good for the most part. Like you'd have a blowout here and there, but like you shouldn't have had a blowout looking at on the paper, you know, looking at the matchup, you shouldn't have had it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's hard because like as a fan, you want both things, and you can't have both things.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah,
you can't
that's
have
a really good way of putting it. Yeah.
and people are never going to be happy with it. It's the exact same thing with the college football playoff. Like you're never going to be happy when you get a lower seeded team that far. Like the lowest seeded team that we had get to the Sweet 16 was Arkansas on a 10 seed, and that was a really good Arkansas team, at least very talented. They lost to Texas Tech by 2 in the Sweet 16. Other than that, the lowest seed was Ole Miss, and Ole Miss lost to Michigan State by 3.
Yeah, see, and like we had that, like you said, you can't have both, but we kind of got both. You know, like every low seeded team that was past the round of 32. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Round of 32, like the round of 32.
BYU was the other one, but Bama shot like 100.
Yeah, that was like, different. You know,
they scored
like
120 points.
Yeah, that game's hard to. That's different because it's like BYU didn't like offensively. They didn't play bad. They scored 90 points almost. It's like hard to be like, oh, they were horrible. Defensively, it's even hard to say they were horrible defensively. Like the first half, there was no effort to play defense. But then the second half, like they were trying different things in Alabama. Like you're playing a zone and Alabama just shoots 5 feet behind the line over the zone and it goes in. Like, what are you going to do? The
It's
only thing
literally
they
exactly like what BYU did to Wisconsin. It was like they made an effort in the second half to like actually defend the three and play defense, and BYU just shot the lights out. And it was like you
yeah,
literally like, what are you supposed to do at that
like
point?
seriously, the only thing you can do, and this only is like a hypothetical because what you have to do is you play man to man, but you're in there, you're on them the entire time. It's like I will let you drive to the hoop, in essence, to trade 3 for 2. Is the only way. But then it's like, oh, you drive to the hoop, you need help, and then you just kick it to a guy standing in the corner open, then the defense is broken. It's like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like you have to get guys to miss, and they weren't missing. It's like they tried in the second half. The first half they did not try. It's like, oh, guy drives to the lane, the guy playing defense on the driver just hand help comes, kick the corner 3. Like what outside of that, what are you gonna do? They were making free throws. I mean that game had a shit ton of fouls. Like what did each team shoot at least 20 free throws?
Oh, I don't know exactly, but
It was a lot. I mean, the entire team was in foul trouble. It seemed like. I don't know if that was the case, but it was like the roles were completely reversed from the Wisconsin game because like Wisconsin played well on offense. Like they had no problem scoring. And I think that's a little more of BYU not emphasizing defense enough. But Alabama had the talent to like really drive it home. It's just like, that was a blowout, but I wouldn't say like that's not exactly what you were talking about. I think that would be fair to say because it's like
yeah.
you lost and you
I mean,
scored
they scored.
90.
I
Like
mean, they scored almost 120 points.
yeah, maybe how many times you can if you're the coach of that team and you're like thinking of how the game's gonna go, it's like if you a college basketball coach, let's say that. If you score 88, 85 plus, how many times do you think you lose? If you're the coach of BYU, you're probably like 0. Like we will lose 0 times if we score 85 points. You lost by 25 and you scored 85 points. Like that's pretty crazy, you know. So I won't count that one. But Sweet 16, otherwise, I mean, there weren't most of the games were pretty compelling, wouldn't you say? I mean, just
Tennessee and Kentucky was like the one that I would say kind of wasn't.
yeah,
Tennessee
that's
dominated in the first half, and then Kentucky played good in the second half, but like the lead never got that tight.
yeah, that
Like
game was
Tennessee,
never
Tennessee
in
took
doubt.
that big lead. Yeah, like Tennessee got that lead, and it never got closer than like 8.
Yeah. But I mean, that's still a watchable game, right? You've got
Oh
2
yeah,
pretty heavy hitters. So it's like that's not one where you're really mad about. Like the Arkansas game, Arkansas was the lowest seeded team to make it to the Sweet 16, correct?
yep, as a
They
10.
were winning.
They lost by
Like
2
they had
in
the most
overtime. Game went to
improbable
overtime.
loss. Yeah, they were up 10 and lost
They're
in
up 7 at
overtime.
half, went up by 10 total, and
Yeah, great game. So like I think like you said, you can't have both. I think we got as close as you can to having both without being able to have both.
I
100%,
agree.
right?
And I think the reason that people would say that we didn't get both is because Arkansas is an SEC team. Like it wasn't a New Mexico in that spot. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there
but
wasn't that
like
team that like everyone's, oh, it's, there was no FAU or San Diego State or New
yeah,
Mexico making a big
yeah.
run. It's Arkansas, so I think people kind of dismiss it a little bit. But you have to look
Mhm.
at that team from what they did. I mean, that team
Yeah,
was horrendous to start the
exactly.
year.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And I'm not correcting you cuz I agree with you. That's just such a casual thing to say though. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, a 10 seed made it, but they're an SEC team." Like, did you watch them? Those guys would be up 20 with 5 minutes left and they would find a way to make it interesting. Like, seriously, every game. It was them and Mississippi State. I bet a lot of college basketball, way too much. Learned my lesson this year. We got to tone her down next year. Find my spots, but no 50 bet marathons on Sunday or Saturday. It's fun, but it's not fun when you lose, and it's like impossible to win when you do that. But we might be due for one or two because they are gauntlets. It's kind of entertaining, but you got to play those teams money line because they played each other. Arkansas, Mississippi State. Our offshore book is dumb. Like sometimes if you have -1.5, you can't play the money line. Like it's not up. Oh, maybe that's a sign. They're up 8 with 2 minutes left. They win by 1. Every game. They're every game they do it. It's like how can we tragically appear to be not well coached even though we are well coached? Because I think that's one thing. We're getting a little off topic with this, but Calipari, like we owe him an apology.
We
That
talked
guy can
in our group
coach. That
chat.
guy can coach.
In our group chat, we talked about him being on the hot seat like 2 weeks in. We're like, he needs to be gone. Like this team is horrible.
No, that guy is still a really, really, really good basketball coach.
Yes.
I think the entire basketball world kind of did him a disservice because he immediately leaves and it's like, oh, this guy can still coach because he took a less talented team to the Sweet 16 and he had, weapons galore at Kentucky and he couldn't manage a way to do it. Maybe it is the players being stupid. Maybe it is the players, not being ready for the moment. Maybe it's not just this coach, this all-time coach that takes all the blame for everything. Maybe it's not just him. So I think we owe him an apology. But every game was good. Like I think you said that perfectly. We want both and we can't get both, but I think this is going to be the closest we get to that because NIL is the center of discussion about how this March Madness didn't have the madness. This tournament didn't have all those upsets, all of that stuff. It's not going to get any closer. And think of it this way too: you can't quite write it off to NIL yet because NIL was a thing last year. I think you're onto something if you're blaming NIL because I think that gap is going to it's going to get driven apart further and further every year. But I don't think it's impossible to go back to another tournament like that because NIL started last year. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility to, get back to maybe having some tournaments where it is like that. But I agree we're going in the wrong direction, but I don't want to just be like, oh, this tournament sucked because, there were no upsets. Most of the games were good outside of that first weekend. I don't know if you have anything to add to that. I mean, kind of just expounded on your point, but I thought it was a good one, so I thought it was something to highlight.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's fair to say that this tournament sucked because I don't think it's true. It was just not what you've seen. And the last probably maybe 3 years, but definitely the last 2 have been so crazy getting into the Final Four. And to your point on the NIL talk, NIL started in 2021. So those 2 years were well within the NIL era. And you still are getting competitive games like Drake beating Missouri. You're still getting upsets. You're still getting lower seeded teams winning games. So I'm not saying that it's completely gone. But yeah, I think you're right. That gap is going to continue to change, but it's different in basketball too. Basketball isn't football. So even though NIL is going to affect it, it's not going to affect it as heavily as football, no matter which way you cut it.
No, I don't think so. And baseball is a sport, right, where you're kind of like, oh, any given team can win on any given day, which is true, right? And especially in the playoff format, typically you'd think, oh, the best team is going to win 4 out of 7, 99% of the time. You don't have that in baseball. You don't even have that in hockey. Pro basketball is the only sport where you really typically have, the best team is going to win this series, right? If your goal is to determine the best team from the regular season in a playoff format, NBA gets it right most of the time.
So is football, NFL.
Yeah, I mean that's just a different example because it's one done. You know what I mean? So you can't really include that one in this discussion. But even hockey, most of the time you get it. The cup champion might not be the best team, because like you do have that catching fire aspect. Just because in hockey and baseball, it's like, hey, we can do the little things enough to kind of outweigh the lack of talent, right? Like the Blues against the Bruins in 2019, just beat the shit out of the other team, and like maybe you'll get a puck bounce your way. Baseball, it's the same thing, right? It's like, oh, we don't have the best pitchers, but like 4 games in a row, it's like, okay, this guy just finds it. Yeah, a little bloop single, it means everything. You know what I mean? All it takes is one little moment in those games. So it's like anything can happen. It's kind of like that in college basketball, right? Because it's like, isn't it crazy how most people you talk to, it's like college basketball is objectively, like in theory, it should be a worse product than the NBA, but it's like so much better. It's like a paradox, right? It's like these guys suck. They don't do anything as well. And it's chaos compared to the NBA, but it's beautiful. It's better. It's awesome. You know, it makes no sense, but like that's just how it is. You can have the best team in the country lose to someone they have no business losing to. All it's, you know, because the best players in college basketball still look bad sometimes. Anything can happen. So I think the NIL gap is going to continue to drive things further until they fix it. It's the portal madness. That's really what it is. I
Yes.
don't think it's like, oh, the players don't have that amateur status anymore. I think it's just the lack of concrete rules with the transfer portal.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you have,
It's just mass free agency.
yeah, and
And there's
there's
and
no,
there's no punishment for entering the portal and not leaving either. So like every player is going to leave the portal or enter the portal and just see what happens, whether or not they leave the school.
yeah,
Like
and why wouldn't you, right? It's like
exactly.
you're testing the waters. It's like, hey, there's an opportunity to make more money at a different school with no downside, right? Like in pro sports, like if you do that, the pro team's like, okay, now we have a better offer. You didn't get anything. We're going to pay you what we want. If you don't take it, you're just not going to play. You know what I mean? In college basketball, it's like you only have a certain amount of time and you can fail downwards. Like a lower team will take you. Like, for example, say Walter Clayton had another year and he wants to transfer out of Florida. He has so many more opportunities to get paid. Like he'll get paid anywhere he wants to go with no penalty to him. So I think the solution is like making them, it's almost like contracts, right? It's like, hey, you sign up for 2 or 3 years here, and if you don't want to play here anymore, you have to buy us out. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if
No, there
logistically exactly how that would work, but it's got to be something like that. You have to discourage the, it's almost like job hopping. You have to like discourage that piece of it. It's like we don't want the the polarity in the roster, right? We don't want one guy playing on 4 different teams in 5 years. Like we don't want that. We want you to benefit from what you bring to the table, but we don't want you wearing 4 different uniforms doing it. And that seems to be the thing, right? It's like, oh, I want to go jump on the team with the best chance of winning. You see it in pro sports too. I'm not saying you shouldn't be allowed to do that. I'm just saying there should be
it
something
shouldn't
in
be
place.
everybody all at once. Like it's not like in baseball, like it's not like you have, Tariq Skubal, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge every single offseason saying
Let's
like,
go play for the
hey,
Dodgers because they're the best
yeah,
chance of winning. Yeah,
like it's not like that.
and truly in baseball, there's really nothing stopping them because there's no salary cap. But like at some point, the Dodgers would be like, we can't pay you. We can't pay all of you. Like even we have bottoms to our pockets. Like we can't physically pay all of you. But yeah, it's like something has to be in place to where it's like, let's not all go to Duke this next year.
I've heard a good example, and I don't know how you would translate it across conferences because not all conferences are created equal in terms of money.
Mhm.
But the example that's been used for that I have heard um instead of contracts, you basically do a pay scale. So like, let's just all intents and purposes, like freshman year, you are allowed to make, let's just say $60,000. Sophomore year, you'd make 80. Junior year, you make 100. Senior year, you make 120. But if you transfer, you go back to that first year pay to discourage players from leaving, because you wouldn't get a pay rate. Like, you wouldn't get a bump in pay for leaving every single year. You could leave, but then we kind of get back into that original conversation with the transferring, where instead of having to sit out a year, which I didn't like, so instead of having to transfer and sit out a year, you can transfer, but you make less money. So then we kind of get back to those original values of why kids are transferring, whether it's not a good fit school wise, not a good fit, team style wise. Like, you get more into a true sense of players picking schools based on where they see best fit, rather than I can get a bunch of money here. And football is tougher because the rosters are so big. Like, you can just poach the best player from a MAC school, give them a bunch of money, and never play them, and that kid is going to take it 10 out of 10 times. So like, it's a little bit different with football, but like,
yeah.
I think and it's tough to do with conferences, because like, not all conferences can pay the kids the same scale. But I think there's something to that you can do instead of like locking kids into a school for 2 years. I think there's a way to get around it. I don't know what that would be, but that would be like a potential solution. But that would also be really tough logistically, because ACC, or I'll just say Big East basketball, doesn't make nearly as much money as SEC basketball. Same thing with the Big 12. So like, there's levels to it, but there's got to be a way to find a middle ground, at least amongst the Power Fives.
Yeah, and I think that is one thing, like, fans of the sports are all kind of in agreement on. It seems like I don't know if how many irrational people there are about it. Like, oh, we shouldn't be paying the players at all. I don't think anybody's saying that, like, seriously, in serious context. I mean, it's $1 billion industry. Like, they should be compensated to some degree. But I don't even think people are upset about how much they're getting paid. I think it's just everyone agrees that it's like, hey, this is a good thing, but we need to put something in place to not make it a complete crapshoot every offseason, right? Here's another example. Why is the transfer portal opening while the games are still being played? But like,
crazy.
In their defense, it's like you have a lot of stuff you have to get done. It's like you have a certain amount of window to, recruit guys and talk with them about coming to your school, and it's very compact. And some of these guys that are like, oh, I don't know, say, trying to think of a really good player on a not very good team. Eric Dixon for Villanova, say he had eligibility left. I think he's a senior, but say like a guy like him wanted to transfer. He's only got a few weeks to talk with dozens of suitors. Like, any basketball coach would want him on their team. The guy's like, I don't know if he's going to, but he led the nation in scoring. He's a finalist for the Wooden Award. He has to be. Like, he's just an example, right? Like, a guy like him of his caliber who played at a school that wasn't very good, he could talk to 36 schools about transferring, I mean, do they visit? Like, or is it all a monetary transaction where they're like, okay, I'm just going to go play. I don't care where it is. I'm just going to play with the team that offers me the most. I don't know what that conversation's like. But, there's a lot of things coaches have to do in the offseason. And then it's like this past year especially, like, we didn't talk about it, but Kevin Willard going to Villanova, that was crazy, like, how he handled that. He handled that so poorly. It's like he 1 foot in, 1 foot out the whole conversation. He's like, as of now, I'm the Maryland coach. It's like, everybody knew you were leaving. Just embrace it. Like, Will Wade handled it very well, right? Tom Izzo did the opposite thing. Like, he was asked about transferring players coming in and how he's going to do that. He's like, I have my team right now. That's all I'm worried about right now are the guys I have in my room, because we're still playing. Like, we have a big game against Auburn this weekend. That's who I'm worried about. Things like that. It's like, I think I don't think we should be putting coaches in that position to put their foot in their mouth and say something incorrectly, and it's into a huge story. It's like, yeah, did Kevin Willard not handle that well? No, definitely not. But like, I don't think he should have to be in that position either. Just move the portal back 2 weeks. If you got to start the NCAA season a week later or 2 weeks later to make up for that, and then condense the schedule a little bit, do that. Do we need to play 38 games? What's wrong with 35? You know what I mean? It's like if you're having the portal window open to give everyone ample time to do what they have to do, adjust the window. I don't know. It's just like I think what I was getting at is everyone agrees something needs to be done. We just aren't sure of what the
We
best
don't know what it
solution
is.
is. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. Speaking of transfer portal, last thing, did you see? I don't think we talked about it last week. Did you see the St. Francis PA stuff?
Oh yeah, they're going to D3.
So, but did you hear how it came about?
No, I
So
didn't follow up on it.
they made the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
They get the money for making the tournament with all that good stuff. They get beat. The day after they got beat, school administration sent out an email. Mind you, at that point, the transfer portal and admissions had officially closed. So it closes sometime in March, I believe, if my dates are correct. Basically, they announced it. None of the players can leave, but they all lost their scholarship because D3 doesn't have athletic scholarship.
Yeah.
So every kid gets their scholarship pulled, and none of them can leave because they're trapped because they waited too long. And the administration said that we came to this decision months ago, but didn't want to say anything. The coaches didn't know. The players didn't know. Yeah. This is a school, mind you, with 1,800 kids, and 50% of the kids there are student athletes. And so they knew that, you announce that you lose 50% of your student body, school probably goes under, right? That's probably it's probably still going to happen that way. But now all the kids have to wait until next year to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all the kids have to wait to leave until the transfer portal opens back up. And I heard an athlete talking about it, and they said the coaches were alerted the night before, and the coaches were like, okay, we're going to tell the kids tomorrow, and then you can send out an email. The administration sent out an email before coaches could talk to the players, so everybody found out via email, and they're like, yep, no more scholarship for you. That's it. And that's the end of it.
That's
crazy. That's horrible.
Also not surprising.
No, not surprising because it's a tiny school.
Yeah, but yeah, that's unfortunate. But hey, there you go. That demonstrates another limitation of the way the things are set up right now. So
yeah.
But I don't have too much else to say. I just wrote down I want to talk about some college basketball coaches moving around. So I might make a blog post about that in the coming days because there are a lot of things to talk about. I'm really sad Texas moved on from Rodney Terry because he was 1-1 for next year's 3 coaches I want gone list. It's really disappointing. That was a disaster, huh?
Yeah, it didn't work at all.
Chris Beard smacks his wife, allegedly. Don't want to get into it anymore than making a high-level joke about it. He leaves. We hire Rodney Terry. The team galvanizes. They look good. They give him a chance, and he's a dumpster fire. Damn. I'm just trying to think who could be on next year's list. Kim English might be 1-1. Friars are down bad.
They are. Dude, talk about a dumpster fire.
Yeah, Providence is down bad. Kim English might be the Shohei Ohtani of next year's list. I still think Georgetown's a little too soon, and I think they're getting better. Like I think they took a step in the right direction this year. They're still bad, but I think they are drastically improved. Chris Holtman's too early. DePaul won a conference game. That's like a national championship. Well, we got Fran. Fran's gone. got Mike Woodson. Who replaced Mike Woodson? Who did Indiana hire? Do you remember?
Did they hire anybody yet?
I thought they did. That was a good name too. They had to have by now because they got a.
Oh, Nick Norton.
Where was he from?
He was the assistant coach.
Oh, I'm sure that'll go well.
Oh wait, no, they hired him as the assistant coach. Who's the new head coach?
Yeah, they had to have hired someone by now because they got to do all the off-season recruiting. That's why it's so early.
Oh, Darian DeVries.
Yeah, he was from West Virginia, right? Or DeVries,
Yes, I believe
DeVries.
so.
Yeah, he was
DeVries,
the great
DeVries.
guy before Ben McCollum. He took the job at West Virginia. Now he's at Indiana. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Sean Miller's at Texas. The guy from North Texas left too. I think he's at UAB. No. I know the North Texas coach got hired somewhere. I just don't know where. I don't remember his name either. North Texas seems to be a stepping stone school because McCaslin at Texas Tech was the UNT coach as well after they fired Mark Adams. And then Chris Beard took the job at Texas. Yeah, a lot of moving around going on. Very excited for this. Coaches are the constant. That's why I like the coaches because it's like, the players always come and go. Like, some are there a year, some are there 4 years. They transfer. The coaches are usually the constant. So I got nothing else. So
that's all I got. Be sure you're following us on Twitter at Overdue Sports. Subscribe to the YouTube, the Substack, like the whatever this is called, like the podcast wherever you're listening to. Whether that's Spotify, Apple Pods, YouTube, all that good stuff. Be sure you subscribe so you get us every single week. If you're still here, you're a maniac and you must really, really like us. So we'll be back again next week. All about baseball on this next one. We're actually going to rip a recording right after this. So stay tuned for that.
Excited.
And we are out of here.